Hi, it's Brennan. It's dark, but I I'm trying to quantify this thing. This is maybe the essence of politics or culture. The American Revolution, before Ellis Island um, was established to filter what would have otherwise been another Mexico, rather an impoverished world. Ellis Island um, was based on the founding fathers. Part of the American Revolution was this fear of convict colonies being established. This was it did somewhat continue in Canada. It's just much less feasible there because it gets a bit too. I don't know. America is just more something. I don't know. Accessible because of the southern access, I guess. And so, how individual countries and indeed politics feel about the convict, the maybe let's call it the criminally insane or the mentally retarded or the undesirables that some countries historically uh, the most fantastic countries, let's say Italy, were the attitude like, of course we're trying to send our undesirables there. Where this is the good spot. You guys live in some sort of swamp. If you're talking California, maybe they would have that same thing. And this is what they call the Dust Bowl, the grapevine, the standoff, if you want to call it a Mexican standoff. But it's the question of how individual countries and government politics feel about the migrant crisis and everything else, and how how they're going to judge that and how people are actually thinking or not thinking or just drinking perhaps or beyond, or below indeed. Okay. What is the where is the thought and where is the ambivalence? This is it's very important if you could map that out, politically and geographically, I guess, what, um, culturally. Um, it's is that's what America. Okay, this is very much in the history books about the convict thing, and it didn't. I think it. Um, versus the colonial, which the immigrant element. Like some people descend from colonialists, some people descend from immigrants, and maybe some people descend from convict colonies. This is the infamous Australian reality. Is one down in the state of Georgia, north of Florida. There was a German penal colony there, and the nature of them as well. Like theoretically, by the time you got to Australia, um, half the people had jumped ship or something like that, or I don't know, maybe they, I don't know. I'm going to make a really horrible South African cannibal joke. Okay. But, criminally insane people could be delicious. This is the, you know, miss an opportunity if someone is truly dangerous. Okay. That, I don't know. Water skiing, shark infested waters. I don't know. Johnny Depp, you might have to ask him actually, because clearly he is criminally insane, you see. Anyways, it is quite a curious thing, like how people actually feel about that. What do you want unemployable people to come and compete for your peace of mind, or do you even have that yourself? And this also impinges heavily on the sociological, the Nikola Tesla being the baby of a European family, like Al Capone, the famous prohibition guy, gladly goes into the frontier, into the Wild West, because they're the baby of a European family, whether it's an immigrant family or the immigrant himself. That they're running away from impossible and seeking to be, what Ben Franklin, because he's Benny and Jenny, he's sort of like scolded and saying, "Oh, you Benny and Jenny, writing this stupid, tricking us or something like that." And if he'd grown up in Europe, he would have theoretically been an established writer early on and gotten the right influences, the right books, just the cultural influence that maybe his immigrant father lended a little bit. So there was that Poor Richard's Almanac, but there wasn't the clarity of understanding that, oh yeah, Benny and Jenny, that's George Washington. He's also got a little sister, and all these mass shooters of the modern age, they tend to the sociopathic element versus the psychopathic copycat, the person who is actually a berserker, someone who's actually genetically predisposed to stupid or dangerous acts, takes their cue from the desperado, someone who is purely of a sociological one, that the geopolitical or geocultural norms, cultural normative values, perceive a guy with a big sister in one place or a guy with a little sister in another place as either automatically qualified or impossible to accept, so that you get the psychotic element who can damage civilization itself. Okay, this could be the rebels, indeed, with George Washington, that he's able to lead the desperados, and I think a few of them are in the same thing. I mean, they Ben Franklin's father is probably 55 when he's born. So by the time he's 15, his father's what, like 70 years old or something like that, and almost as. But he's also got his big brother, so it's there, but it's the founding fathers all tend to be fatherless themselves. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, their fathers all die when they're 10 years old. And again, so, you know, Ben Franklin's father is 65 when he's 10 years old. It's similar to that, sort of beyond the pale or something like that. But it's a very difficult thing to explain, but it's fundamental. This is. Do you want wise men, scientists to come and visit you, or do you want criminals to come and visit you? How do you differentiate? That's the question.